共闘だ。
Slayer is a methodical character. He thrives on the ability to play stable and in control, not being forced into taking risks. While infamous for the ability to gamble with a huge pile bunker for massive damage, often that is not the best way to consistently win with him. Instead, Slayer allows for unique defensive and offensive plays to build up the opportunity to land that game-winning hit, while at the same time not allowing your opponent to play the game the way they want to. How he does this is his unique ability to jump cancel his backdash. This does not seem that important at first, but has wide-reaching gameplay implications. Slayer, unlike anyone else in the cast, does not have a normal dash. Instead, his forward and backdash are invulnerable teleports. With the ability to jump out of them, this means if the opponent wants to hit Slayer, they have to be able to stop a backdash that teleports away from them and does not have recovery, as it can be cancelled into a jump. And it does not end there, because due to being able to jump out of it, he can also cancel the startup of that jump into a special move, retaining the invulnerability of that backdash. Imagine trying to be aggressive against a character with an invulnerable backdash that he can cancel into an invulnerable fast and safe dash punch, and even into an invulnerable far-reaching command grab. Slayer, more than any other character, has some of the strongest defensive options, highly limiting what an effective offense against him looks like. This means that often the opponent can simply not use their best mix-ups, their best frame traps, their best tick throw setups, because Slayer will punish them for it, and they are forced to use worse options to stay safe from his overwhelming defensive options. They can simply not play their character at his best against Slayer. And once on the offense, Slayer combines normals that are often highly disjointed, or have invul, with oppressive frame advantage on most of his moves, combined with many different options for mix-ups, including both high-low mix-ups and left-right with his teleport dash. Slayer puts his opponent in dangerous situations, while at the same time not allowing the opponent to put him in one. So, what's the downside? The downside is that while his dashes allow many unique options, they often also mean Slayer in many cases does not have good movement options. He has to rely on whiff punishing or baiting something to get his game going, meaning playing a strong footsie game is very important, unless he wants to take risks on high punishable on block specials, or risking getting anti-aired from an air dash or jump. Lacking any form of range option, he also struggles against characters that simply want to be close to him more than he wants to be to them. Guilty Gear combos can be very freeform in many cases, and you will often have to convert from stray hits, so it's important to have a basic idea of what your route should look like, rather than a strict idea of a set sequence of buttons to always press in order. Slayer uniquely in the game relies more on links, a la a traditional Street Fighter game, rather than gatlings, which most of the cast relies on for their combos. This means Slayer players will have to practice more than the average character to get their BMBs down, and it's not as easy to pick up and play as the majority of the cast. But if you're in for a challenge, Slayer has very flashy and fun combos to do. Your main BMB is more strict than most others, because of this link system, but what I said earlier about the freeform nature of Guilty Gear still remains. Your main goal is to get a hit with his slide, which is his 2D, unlike most traditional 2D sweeps. You generally will do this from close slash, which seems like a hard confirm, but Slayer can actually do close slash, far slash, and then link into close slash again, giving you more than enough time to confirm it. Your other main option is either 5k or 2k on crouch into 2D, and while sounding hard to confirm at first, the link nature of his combos give ample time to confirm the hit. You can simply continue the same combo, adding far slash and 5k into 2D, meaning you autopilot the first route, and only after confirming it's a crouch hit, add the rest for a better combo. This will be your main combo for the majority of hits you get outside of big counter hits. If you launch your opponent or get an air hit, Slayer has a very intricate air combo system, where he in a way relaunches with his 2k for extended air combos. Many of these are character specific and will require practice, but your main goal is to end with jump D, knocking them back down to the ground. An easy option to start with is simply jump S, jump heavy slash, jump D, and from there experiment and learn from the wiki the many different routes you can do. Outside of this, you will often also poke with his really good 5k into Mappa Hunch, which technically can be slightly negative on hit, but with Slayer's unique tools, he can often threaten with his invul specials after, meaning your opponent will still have to respect you. And if you hit an add meter, you can convert this with RC into good damage. Once you feel comfortable with these, start working on crosswise and pile bunker routes. There's a lot to learn and the wiki will be a great help for you. Slayer's neutral revolve around trying to make your opponent afraid to press a button, so he can get in, or utilize his strong counterpoke tools to get a knockdown, and thereafter be able to use his strong mix-up tools. He has an outstanding poke in 5k, which replaces the traditional first slash poke most characters use, being very positive on block and can be cancelled into Mappa for more damage. His 2S is a very good anti-air, which you can follow up on with the basic jump S, jump heavy, jump D route, adding more as you learn. 6P is a notoriously hard to stop move, as his entire upper body is invul, and on counter it will wall bounce, letting you combo after, limiting what moves your opponent can do in neutral. On the other hand, 2 heavy is a big stomp with foot invul, allowing you to poke from afar, while threatening with a knockdown for using low pokes. These combined with your invul specials keep your opponent guessing, allowing you to use his forward dash and air dash to get in. And if they try to retaliate with a projectile to avoid the many anti-strike options you have, you can use the same forward dash to go straight through it and punish them for it. And once you've gotten that knockdown, Slayer has a very strong and flashy mix-up game. The majority of Slayer's post-knockdown game begins with Dandy Step. This is because Guilty Gear has instant startup throws, meaning to be able to do close range mix-ups, you need a way to shut down and dissuade your opponent from pressing throw. We accomplish this from whiffing under pressure, allowing us to use It's Late as a threat, as it is completely throw immune during startup, meaning if the opponent tries to throw us out of our many setups, they risk getting launched by one of the most damaging counter hit starters in the game. With this fear, we can use 2k as a low, as It's Late is an overhead, giving us a high-low mix-up. But it doesn't end there, as Slayer's forward dash also means we can dash through them for a right-left mix-up, as well as simply command grabbing them, giving him a 5-way mix-up between high-low, left-right, and throw. Another cross-up mix-ups can be done with Helter Skelter, which will jump over and cross up the opponent. All of these can be comboed into 2D, letting us keep the mix-up going. If we are afraid of a reversal DP or similar, Helter Skelter can also be wire seed, letting the explosion hit them while we are safe to block any reversal, and the explosion will visually cover what mix-up we are doing, where we can do any of the same as before, replacing the overhead in It's Late with his 6k overhead instead. This mix-up and every option of it is very effective at all levels of play, and very few players can say they are comfortable defending against Slayer mix-ups. Slayer's command grab, beyond the damage and healing, also has a special buff given to Slayer, where the first special move that hits after will always be a counter hit, meaning if they take the throw and in a way end the mix-up by mashing out the stagger, they are also put in a high-risk situation where the next hit can lead to disgusting damage. If Slayer interests you, some strong players you can look at are Hase and Ent from Japan. I have linked a video for them both respectively in the description. More in-depth information can be found on the excellent Dustloop wiki, which will break down every move and option in the game for Slayer, and every other character in the game. Coming up next is Venom, if you want to follow along and find out about the many interesting characters of Xrd. Sub so you don't miss the next episode. Bye bye and trust in Pile Bunker.